Hi guys, my name's Finn, and today I'm going to be talking about how the European slave trade worked. The European slave trade was a period in time when various European countries traded, bought, and enslaved Africans. In this video, you will find out why the Africans were chosen to be enslaved, what work the African slaves had to do, when the European slave trade occurred, and which countries and people were involved in the European slave trade. European slave trading went from the 15th century until the early 19th century, when various governments acted to ban the trade, including the principal slave trading nation, an organisation that protested against slavery. It was most prominent in France, Britain, and Portugal. These also happened to be some of the first countries to start trading and buying African slaves. The European slave trade started out when Portugal and various other European countries finally had enough resources to expand overseas and reach Africa, where they started to kidnap and enslave African people from the west coast of Africa. However, most European traders didn't go inland in fear of disease or attack. Instead, they gave their goods to their African trade partners, who would then use the goods to buy slaves from other African traders. This was terrible because the people of the same community and nation were sending away their own people to be enslaved. The European slave trading was also known as the triangular trading system because it operated by carrying slaves, cash crops, and manufactured goods between West Africa, the Caribbean, and Europe, hence the name the triangular trade. As soon as the slaves were kidnapped, they were then shipped to the Americas as quickly and as cheaply as possible. When they arrived, they were sold to labour in coffee, tobacco, cocoa, sugar and plantations, gold and silver mines, rice fields, the construction industry, and cutting timber for ships. The slaves were treated like wild animals and got barely enough food to survive. The slaves' offspring were the legal property of the slave owner and were put to work or sold as soon as they were old enough. The jobs that were mainly involved in the European slave trade were merchants, who bought and sold the slaves, sailors, who transported the slaves, farmers and factory owners, who bought and used the slaves, and of course, the African people enslaved. Slave trading might have been good for some jobs, but for factory workers and labourers, it meant unemployment. The reason most Europeans thought the Africans as most suitable for slavery was because the Europeans believed that the shape of someone's skull reflected the intelligence of them. Phrenologists applied their theory to African skulls and classified all white people superior to Africans, intellectually, culturally, and morally. So, the Africans were thought as subhuman. In my video, I have told you how the European slave trade worked, what work the slaves had to do, who was involved, and why the Europeans thought it was justified to enslave people. The European slave trade was an event that all of humanity wants to forget, and hopefully it will never happen again.